This is Swarfcast. I'm Noah Graff. I am extremely honored and thrilled to have Adam Marsh on the show for the second time. He is the president of Ledge Inc. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be back. I really appreciate it. And I got to tell you, absolutely getting value of being on your show in the first place. So we've gotten multiple calls from, previous episodes and, always happy to jump in and do those again.
I totally needed this ego boost. Because it's,
Yep.
Business, you keep trying things, and then you never know when something's going to click and what's going to work, right?
What's interesting to see who's out there really listening, and then what that does drive, and whether that's work for you or somebody else. It means we're making those connections.
That's good. Well, I mean, if you listen to any of my stuff, I'm all about serendipity. Yep. And so yeah, serendipity that somebody heard it and you made that connection. So last interview, Adam and I, we touched on AI, but we talked a lot about ISO certification, which was really cool. I highly recommend everybody go back to it.
It's a tough topic to make interesting, by the way.
Yeah, well, that says something about you. And the client you got was regarding that, correct?
Yep. Yeah. And that's not the only call we got with it. We got a couple. So yeah, it was certainly mostly around aerospace, interestingly enough.
Advertisers. This could be really, maybe you want to, no, I'm just kidding. So that was a cool interview, but we touched a little bit on AI tools. I think at the time you were just starting to dip your toe in a little bit.
So about a year ago, I got asked to do a talk at FabTech about AI and ISO 9001. And just because of that one talk at FabTech, I think I've given a talk about 30 or 40 times over the past couple months. And in doing so, people saw that we were using it and were sort of looking for, okay, if you can do it for you, can you help us do it? And where the heck are you using it? So,
and didn't you feel like the more you talk about it, though, the more you understood it?
Absolutely. And then the more I use it and the more I look for those use cases, and they bring up something that's like, oh yeah, I could build that tool. And then I go build it.
And then you use the AI to help you learn about the AI.
Absolutely. It's this huge rabbit hole of going down AI tunnels. Yeah.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to give me, just a quick spiel about your background and what you're doing with these new AI tools, what you're going and speaking about. And then we're going to figure out what the title of this interview should be. I was thinking it would be fun to do it without AI, but I think it would be more interesting for you, maybe me at the same time. We're going to go on an LLM and the large language model.
Yep.
And we are going to come up with a title in a matter of minutes that we can keep or not. But I think this would be really interesting, particularly for, a lot of people that they're not using it as much as me, or particularly you. I'm sure I'm using it a lot now to help me write scripts, to help me do, escrow agreements, to help me figure out how much things will cost to ship a machine to the United States. And
that's a great use case.
Yeah. Or I'm always like going on there and asking it about negotiation and marketing, and then I argue with it all the time. I was like, well, how would you do it in this way or whatever? Okay, so tell us about your business pretty quickly, and then really briefly what you're doing with AI.
Yep.
Then we're going to come up with a title, and then I'm going to interview you about all this new cool stuff you're doing. Okay.
So Ledge Inc. has primarily been a quality and management consulting firm. I have a background in industrial engineering, and as does my team. We have a team of 10 providing services to over 300 manufacturers, primarily helping them with things like ISO 9001 and achieving AS 9100 and maintaining those. In doing so, I've really got a great handle on using AI because I was using it heavily, personally. I happen to kind of also just be a tech guy. And so I was using it pretty heavily, and we were looking for how can we build these tools and build safe tools that we can actually deploy to our customers. So since then, we've actually helped with or have a platform now that we can sell to customers that they can access a secure version of AI. So when I say security, I don't want it to learn from us. Okay. And in that, I want it to be able to use customer data, be able to use accounting data in a way that I can use AI to process information and do analysis and feel safe that I'm not handing our information over to ChatGPT.
So you wanted to learn about your business and you wanted to learn about your client's business, but you don't want it to learn about you, correct?
Well, actually, no. So I don't even want it to I want to run a query, get an answer, and get out. I don't want it to take that data back to ChatGPT and train its model. Okay. So that's where I'm trying to kind of separate us from the larger models. So what we have is a platform and by the way, I also want to test different models and then build tools that I can deploy to customers. We're calling it becoming a AI integrator. And so if you're in the robot world
Right.
or you're buying a robot, you're not going to go to Fanuc and say, give me a robot, right? Instead, you're going to say, hey, local integrator, help me to put this robot in place and help me figure out the right way to use it. And so that's where we see AI, right? A lot of these companies are kind of dabbling in it, or they're like, yeah, we got the one guy over here who's having it rewrite his emails. They're using Copilot maybe, and not getting the value out of it that they could be. And so I think they're stuck and spinning their wheels. We've identified those use cases because of our years of experience in manufacturing and seeing the problems at manufacturers. We've already seen what those use cases are, and I've started to build out tools to actually address those use cases.
Very interesting. All right. I have so many interesting thoughts going through my head. But before we do that, I've been making a study of YouTube and actually having AI help me make YouTube stuff. And, the sort of conventional wisdom now among YouTubers is you come up with a title and thumbnail before you make the video because that way if it's something that people would actually find interesting, and it kind of gives you a structure. Because if you can't think of a title that wouldn't
doesn't resonate,
that doesn't resonate, then don't waste your time. I have a show I was just mentioning to you, and some of the people who listen to this will probably know about it. Some of them probably like it, and some of them probably are like, hey, Noah, play an interview. But it's called I Learned It on a Podcast, where I go and I listen to podcasts and I talk about what those podcasts talked about. And, usually if it's on a podcast that resonated with me, it's going to be something that people are going to care about. But at the same time, it's a really healthy thing. So we are going to come up with a title real quick for this, and we are going to use AI to do that. So what AI do we want to use? I think both of us said for writing, we generally want to we like using Claude because it kind of matches a little bit more of our tone. I think Claude lends itself to people who know how to write a little bit, and ChatGPT is more like it's a little. I mean, I know a lot of people who are good writers that now use ChatGPT pretty much exclusively. I think part of it is they haven't really tried Claude enough, but it's kind of like they try to do it more for you, and then they don't get it right.
So I've been calling a little bit. I've been calling ChatGPT America Online, right? Because it's like everybody's pathway to the internet right now, or to AI is that. And like think about you used to get the CDs in the mail, and like that's all you heard about was America Online, and that was your only like understanding of ChatGPT or of AI. And so,
True.
there's a possibility that, Claude and Anthropic is going to be the next Google, right? And it's not ChatGPT. They're gonna go away like America Online. So
It's
you don't know.
true, but the difference is that AOL, I mean, you're right that they dominated the internet. It was like back in, how
Yeah,
old are you?
you've got mail. I'm 40, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm 45. So it's a little bit before your time. Like when I was like 12 or 11, like everybody was on it. And it's true. It just seemed like, well, that was the internet. Nobody really knew about what the internet was. But the difference, I think, with this is ChatGPT, like, they've got like 98% of AI. So I don't know. Maybe that's slightly different, but it's a really interesting connection because it's like the gateway, you know?
It's the gateway, and it's almost like they have a lot of the tools. They're not the best tool out for every little thing they do. Like, for a great example is, I don't like how ChatGPT makes PowerPoints at all, and I still have to make PowerPoints for some things we do.
Never
So I
tried
don't
it.
use it for that at all. Now maybe I use it to help me make content for a PowerPoint, but not deliver the actual PowerPoint. It just does a pretty horrible job there. And so I actually use a software called Gamma for that, which, by the way, is amazing. And so if you need to make a
Yeah.
PowerPoint, that's the way to go right there.
I like to use ChatGPT to help me get stains out.
That's actually a pretty good application too.
And that probably actually will be relevant to what we'll talk about. Okay, so what comes to mind? You've given a whole bunch of talks about this. Let's go to Claude, and I'm gonna tell it. Let's do it together. Maybe I'll start.
Well, I
Okay.
jumped into ChatGPT because I just happened to have it open.
Okay, and you have the premium ChatGPT, and does
Oh
it
yeah,
know you?
yeah, it knows
Uh,
me, and I happen to have a talk I just gave on Wednesday night at the Wood Producer and Manufacturer Association, which sounds like an odd group to do this, but I said,
okay,
yeah, we're going
let's
to be
come up
kind of
with the
around.
prompt together. So why don't what I'm thinking is you say, "Hey, I'm doing an interview on Swarfcast. It's this awesome podcast that I was already on once, and it already got me some clients, and it's about machining. It's for people in the machining industry, and I don't know. You tell it what exactly you want to talk about, and then what could what would be a great YouTube thumbnail, YouTube title?
Yep.
Got to be 55 characters or less that we could call this interview. Why don't you try that prompt? What else do you want to add to the prompt?
Yeah, I would say we're talking about practical AI, or AI we can actually use today, and with practical use cases. And I like to kind of use those words and say, now make it exciting. All right.
All right, give it a go. Let's try ChatGPT, the AOL of AI.
So the other thing I would do is I would actually turn on the web search, right? And by doing that, now I give it the ability to go out and look up your podcast and look at other things there. So
I
it can
always
kind
have
of get
that
some
on.
context. Yeah, some people don't. And when you don't have it on, all of a sudden you're not getting the sort of the advantage of that.
Yeah, even when you have it on though, like, do you ever talk baseball with AI? Like, it's so lousy.
Yeah.
Like, it still thinks you have players from the year before. It's just you have to go, no, silly. Like the Cubs don't have, you know, X pitcher from 2 years ago. Get it together, and then it'll look it up. And
But I tell you what, it's very confident in when it answers you, right? So you have to be careful, because if you don't come in with that question of, is this for real or not, then it's you're going to think that it's right all the time.
yeah, and that's scary, particularly with lazy people. I think
Yeah, absolutely. That is something
naive people.
I build into a lot of my prompts, is sort of a confidence interval. Like, how confident are you in this answer, and what would make you more confident? What things did you just make up? And to see what it tells me at the end of it. Because if you give that to an engineer and they don't see that, they might be like, no, all right, it gave me an answer on this. Well, if you get to the end and it says it's 75% confident, I'm not going to take that to my boss, right? I'm not going to take that to a client. I better dig deeper.
That is really interesting. have you ever done where you're working on something? I'm using it often when writing or maybe doing a LinkedIn post or whatever, and it keeps doing a mediocre job. And then you go, try harder, just type try harder. And I said that to ChatGPT or Claude. And I said, does that do anything when I tell you to do that? And they're like, yes, it does. And it'll make me do a better job. And I was like, why didn't you do a good job in the first place? Well, I don't know.
You know what? With ChatGPT 5, I actually find it a little lazy sometimes. And when I say that, it's like I can't get it past certain points where I find I actually am better off opening a new window and starting over and just getting out of whatever context thoughts that it has, right? Trying to just reset where I was coming from. It's like, man, I can't get it off that one thing.
Even though it remembers you, it's still like good. Okay, so what do you got so far? What do you got?
None of them are super exciting. Probably should have used Claude, but I've got AI tools that transform your machine shop. Machining and AI, boost efficiency, cut waste.
Is that 55 characters or less?
Yeah, that's what I told it.
Did you say who you are? I mean, I guess it knows you, but...
Yeah.
So why don't you say, make it more exciting?
I already did. That was the more exciting ones.
All right, pop it into Claude. Let's see if Claude does any better. I hope you're not running short on time. I'm so loving this conversation. This is like the best way to finish my week.
It's been really fun to talk with people who are excited about it and kind of who are like practicing with it, right? Because that's a lot of this. It's a lot of practice and test and see how do we figure this thing out.
It's the conversation of it. I feel like I'm going to let you focus on this, on getting this thing. Go to Claude.
Yep, that's where I'm heading.
And because we'll keep going around and around and having a good time about this, but let's just try this one exercise. If this thing just drags on and on and on, then we'll I'll just do it later by myself.
So I can turn on some pretty cool tools within our system, things like Google search, Perplexity, and Firecrawl. And so by doing that, I give it the ability to really kind of go deep on the web and find more info about us and about your podcast.
Cool.
All right, let's see what Claude comes back with here. And this is Claude 4. There's a note there. Every once in a while, I still throw things into Grok and see what kind of crazy stuff it comes back with.
I haven't tried that. That's Elon Musk's thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have it in my car, so I'm able to talk to my car and have that conversation with Grok. It's built into my car, and so it can be pretty interesting to see. I've been using it to get through some books that I've been struggling getting through, and have it summarize the book, and then I can talk to it about. Like
Crime and Punishment or something?
Yeah, some of those, or some, even some books like that are industry specific and like quality guide books that I would love to understand more, but there's just no way I'm going to read a 700-page book on quality management systems. So like, hey, help me, understand what this means. And
so how would you do that? How does it already has read the book? And
it's already read the book. So I ask it for that like 5 or 10 minute summary of it, and then give me the key bullet points. And then from there, I can start asking it questions on how that might apply to different places.
Very interesting. All right. What do we got?
Man, mine's still running.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Now I gave it all the tools. So it's using some scraping tools to find your podcast and you right now. Which, by the way, gets a little creepy sometimes.
Like what?
Like its ability to go find people's emails and things like that. I can go pretty deep on letting Firecrawl find things on the web.
Oh, I got to learn about that. You're going to have to tell me I don't even know Firecrawl. You were on the last interview. I remember at the end, you were telling me about how you used ChatGPT to help you figure out your dinner plans.
Yeah, we still use it.
And I was like, man, that totally expanded my mind. That was before I really started, using it for my oil stains.
Yeah. I've even been, it is giving me confidence to do projects that I would have never done before. Um, my wife has tried to get me to do a backsplash at our house since we built our house in 2016. And I just, I'm an engineer, but I'm maybe not the most handy engineer in the world. And so me being, kind of in that world, I would say I'm having a slow chat session at the moment, but me being in that world, it was interesting where she picked my wife's an art teacher. She picked some relatively complicated tile. And so I've never done tile work in my life, but with the confidence from AI, I was able to sort of jump in and figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And the cool part was I actually only had 4 tiles left at the end. And it was because it did the math for me, making sure I was like, my math was good, and it nailed it. So that, and the confidence of, no, you got to buy this, and here's how much to buy, and here's the place to buy it.
Oh,
and
totally.
It's great.
Totally. Yeah, you get nervous about doing some of this stuff, and you go, all right, just all right. Your thing is still going.
Yeah, I'm having a slow internet connection. Oh, there we go.
I'm still using a real editor to
Okay.
edit the podcast.
All right. Yeah. So here's what Claude says. It says quality meets AI. Ledge Inc.'s digital revolution. All right. Smart QC. How Ledge Inc. uses AI in manufacturing. More.
Yeah, we might have to just start going.
Yeah.
All right. We'll I'll probably cut that in half. I'll give that to my editor and say, all right, but I mean, I'm already having a blast here.
Yeah, absolutely.
The things you're talking about, being confident in doing things that you might be afraid to try otherwise is,
I would say that's
really
actually
amazing.
Like spurred one of my most recent tools. One of the most recent tools I built was a weld inspector tool, and it was because I'm unclear who broke my lawnmower, but it was either me or my old man, and I needed to weld it back together. And I learned to weld in college. I've taught a little welding, but I am not I understand the theory, but I've never been a great welder. And so this was my great excuse to tell my wife I need to buy a welder, and then I can practice doing it on my mower.
How much does a welder cost?
You know what? I literally bought one on Amazon for $150.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't have the top of the line, which probably isn't helping my welding skills either. But for messing around at home, it's.
What are you welding?
And so I was welding a steel bracket back onto my mower deck.
Oh, right? Okay, right. You did it for the lawnmower.
I just need to hold it back on. And so messing with it, I cleaned it up and thought I was doing a good job. I asked AI how to do this and make sure I kind of had my game plan in place. And then I took a picture of it and uploaded it and said, how'd I do? And it told me to immediately rework my weld and not use it. And so because of that, I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. But it also told me the things I should fix. Right? It's like, hey, you need to, turn up your amperage. You need to slow down a little bit. This needed to be cleaner. And that was pretty interesting. So I said, you know what? My customers could be interested in a tool like this. And so we built an AI tool using our sort of platform where I could push it out, where you can upload a few pictures, you can upload your weld procedure, give it as much context as you can give it, and it'll review your weld and tell you how you did. And so I don't have to call my buddy who's a weld expert who's going to make fun of me. I can ask ChatGPT or I can ask AI and let it tell me how I did and really coach me through that. So that the confidence it gives you there to jump into projects you wouldn't have done is pretty cool.
Do you feel though? I feel exactly the same way, but do you feel like then you start not wanting to think quite as much and just?
I don't know. That's a good question. I would say you have to be careful with that because AI is very confident in its answer, right? So you really have to question it and push back and say, "Wait a second, is that right?" I think we
the problem is when it's something you know a lot about, you can push
go
back.
Into it, yeah. Well,
But
that's an
when it's,
interesting
yeah.
point, right? There's some like news history on that, right? That if it's something you know about, you read it in the paper, you'll see all the holes in it, right? And you'll say, "Oh man, this is completely made up." And then you read another article and you don't think that this could all be wrong, right? And so there's something to be said for that with AI. Like you could, if you're an expert in something, you're going to see through it. So you have to be careful and you have to ask it, check it. You have to be able to validate things before you push it out. So I've been doing that. I've actually started downloading all these bad weld pictures, right? And the reason why, and I just download the picture and I upload it and see how it does, so I can check it. Right, that's one of the best parts about AI. Like it's think about a robot where you have to program it and see if it's working and run through all. I can check it so quickly, right? So
So
I
how are
can
you
see,
checking it?
like I can run it, right, and see what my results are. And then if I don't like the results, I can run it a different way. I can try it with a different model. I can go
What are
try
you
it.
talking about now? Like a program for a machine or something? Or
Yeah. So for instance, if even that weld inspector tool, if I don't like the results that I'm getting out, I can very quickly change my prompt and run it again, or run it with a different kind of model.
so what
Or
does that mean? Put it in English for people that aren't
good
even
question. All
doing
right. So
prompts.
so if I'm telling, all right, good example. We're doing helping some clients review material certificates. So when a material certificate comes in, it says the chemical and physical properties of this. I want to check it to see if it actually matches what we ordered, right? Matches the specification. If I run that using, say, ChatGPT, it might give me an answer that I'm not happy with, and I literally put it in and say, hey, check this versus the specification. And I might not be happy with the answer because it's giving me something that I'm thinking, I'm not happy with the writing. It didn't put it in a table for me. And so I might go back and say, put this into a table, put your results into a table, because that would be more helpful, right? Rather than a
Hmm.
paragraph. So you're kind of like coaching it through how to make it better. And then, you know what? I'm not happy with how ChatGPT is doing that. Maybe I'll check it on Gemini and see how it does.
Gemini is Google's thing.
Gemini is Google's thing, and it's pretty powerful because it can take in more information on the front end. So they call it a context window, how much data it can absorb and run with and run sort of its algorithm on. So ChatGPT can do, it's called 500,000 kind of tokens, right, of information it can take in. Google can take in 1 million.
And
And
how
so if
much
I'm
can
giving it,
Claude do?
that's a great question. I don't remember.
I was
Um,
quizzing it the other day too, having him compare all
Yeah,
three of
but
them.
but sometimes you look at them and you're like, God, like, okay, this is a really big data set. I better use the tool that can handle a bigger data set. And
Okay.
so it's starting to work with your tool like that, and understanding that there are other things out there. So don't just get stuck. Oh, ChatGPT couldn't do it, so I guess AI can't do it. There are other tools out there that can probably get you where you want to go.
It's
And so
funny
it's
how
kind of
people
work.
just don't know. Like they're
Yeah,
caught in AOL,
they're
as you
caught in
said.
AOL, right? And so it's the you've got mail thing, and they're hoping to get a DVD in the mail of all their minutes, right?
um, so this is what you do. You're educating people about um,
Well, we're
past AOL.
yeah. Well, past AOL, and number one, I want them to use it. When you look at a company, odds are their employees are using this, whether they're letting them or not. Okay,
Hmm.
so if a company hasn't implemented an AI policy, it's a problem, right? Because their people are probably, not doing it intentionally. They're going to use the thing at their hands, and they've got their personal chat GPT account on their phone, and they're going to start using it. Well, that could be a concern because they're putting in possibly confidential proprietary information. So a study was just done last quarter. I just wrote a piece on this. I can't remember who did the study, but the interesting part was they analyzed 1 million prompts on ChatGPT. 4%, or 4 out of every 100, so 4% had confidential information in it. That's scary.
How do you define confidential information?
I mean, this could be things that might be like not HIPAA compliant, could be company specific account information, could be customer information that you
And
wouldn't
this
want to
is
get out
free.
there.
These are free accounts
They're
because
using the free
if they
accounts.
weren't free, then they wouldn't be able to know theoretically.
Theoretically, that's if you've done a good job turning off the learning modules, and your IT team has sort of gone in and addressed that. So I want companies to think about what is their AI policy, what are they allowing their people to put in, and give them the tools that have those guardrails in place. Don't just put your head in the sand and say, oh yeah, just use your ChatGPT account and let me know how it goes. Like those aren't very well password controlled, right? They're using their own personal stuff. Your IT department has no visibility into that. And so I think it was 2 weeks ago, Anthropic had like all these prompts just leak and show up on Google. Like people's straight prompt. Like what if you were, using it to do an HR review of an employee and all of a sudden that's on Google?
That's
So
Claude,
this stuff,
Anthropic.
yeah, then this stuff is like leaking out, and they're going to say sorry. Well, that it could be a large problem. So I want to give people like a place with some guardrails. I don't want to discourage the use of it. I want to encourage them to use it, but give them a place to use it safely and help teach them how to. So here's sort of the things that was working for. I'm also, people are scared that this is taking over. I'm looking for the small wins, the use cases that save you 15 minutes, that save you that hour of working through some documents or writing. And those are going to build up. And then you'll be able to
save you over going to a cheap lawyer, or save you over going to.
Hey, the lawyer is a great point, right? So, historically you would have called your lawyer and say, hey, you know what, I need some terms and conditions. Can you help me write them? And they're going to take some time. And instead, I'm going to write it the way I think it should be, and then give it to my lawyer for review. Exactly. Well, that's going to save a ton of time, right? If it's 90% of the way there and they're taking it from there, I think that's a huge help. So you can actually start doing those things. I just got asked to help somebody. They get non-disclosure agreements all the time. And he said, I can't not read them. I have to read them, but pretty much they're all boilerplate, but I have to read them in case they're not. So we built him a little tool that he can drop them in. And if there's something strange or unusual in it, it pulls it out and tells him. Otherwise, he doesn't have to read the thing.
We totally had very, very similar thing the other day. We had to do an escrow agreement, and I put it into Claude, I put it into ChatGPT, what the company sent us, and they were like, oh, well, this is clearly a boilerplate thing. And they were like, well, you need to worry about, this needs to be clarified. This looks like it's something, about a merger and acquisition, and you're not a merger and acquisition.
Yep.
And then we thought to ourselves, well, is there a good trigger mechanism for getting the money sent? And we put that in there, and they were like, oh yeah, well, let's clarify that. And I'm sure we forgot something important, but between going back and forth between two LLMs, we don't have a lawyer, which is, it would be good to have a lawyer, but, so you wonder where all these jobs are going, like the cheap lawyer, the kid who's out of college and goes and works for the investment banking firm that's got to go through all the stuff.
That's a great question. I've been posing that question because it's what we're calling the junior developer problem. So if I don't need a junior developer to develop software anymore, because I can have AI do that piece of it. But how do you ever become a senior developer if you've never been a junior developer? And so that's going to happen in a ton of industries. And we need to have a game plan on how to address that. And in my mind, that is, we need to change how we train people and get them up to speed and get people up to speed faster. So we got to focus on the things that are important in that industry. And when you build out your training plan for your employees, it's going to have to be way better than it was in the past, because you can't afford for them to sit down and be trained for months anymore. They need to be up and running quickly.
Cool. Okay. All right. We're talking about a lot of really important, interesting things. I want to know more about the specific thing that your company does, that makes people want to pay you to come in and help them with their AI.
So a couple things. First, we provide their entire team, as many people as they want, access to a platform that has multiple models. We actually have 49 models, but I want them to be able to use Claude. I want them to be able to use Grok and ChatGPT and start finding the ones that work for them. Okay. So once they do that, now they have a safe place to work. We're in an instance, a single tenant. So that means we keep your data private, your information private, and we don't allow it to learn. So we're not teaching the models these things. And look, I still will use ChatGPT for things, for marketing things, but or develop an image or something for me. But when I'm doing anything with sensitive business information or customer information, this is where I would use it. So we have a safe place to go.
It's interesting that you talk about the memory, though. I understand why you don't want it to know stuff, but I interviewed another guy a couple months ago. It was a really fascinating interview, and his whole thing is AI. He's created a ChatGPT wrapped AI platform for shops because shops want to preserve their tribal knowledge.
Yep.
So this is a case where they want it to remember everything they know. So what do you think of that?
So we have some tools coming for that. And so in my mind, it's not that I want, great question. I don't need AI to know everything that we know. I want a database with that information in, and then I can use AI to go pull information out of it when I need it. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with our AI tools having, kind of a pathway into that data, can grab a piece of information, display it to me, but it doesn't remember it. I don't want it to remember, and I'm okay with that. So it takes the prompts longer because they're scrubbing that data set every time, but I'm keeping our institutional knowledge safe. That's one of the most critical parts of this. Like, imagine the risk in that of other machine shops learning it, right?
I feel like we really could. I hate using the word should, so I'm going to say it would have been good had we really started slow at the beginning. I want you to define real quick LLMs for people.
Sure.
What the heck is going on with these things we're talking about? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, because a lot of people think that you ask it a question and they're searching the web, and they are a little bit, but they're not designed that way.
No.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I know that, Ethan Mullock, who I learned it on a podcast thing about. He's this Wharton professor who's written a lot about.
Brilliant, yeah.
And he says it's like an autocorrect.
Yeah.
And it's all, these things have consumed a zillion books and they know everything, and then they're filling in the lines.
And they're guessing, right?
It's hard. So see if you can, because there's a lot of people who, yes, they've heard of ChatGPT, but they don't even know what
they never know what GPT stands for, which is funny.
I don't know what I can't remember.
So I always ask that question, and for the first time, I actually had somebody answer it. So I had to give away my gift card that I had. But GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and that's actually a better kind of description than large language model. In my mind, this is a system that was trained on all this knowledge, and what it's trying to do is guess at what you want to know. So you ask it a question and it looks for what it's been taught about that topic, and then it's going to kind of fill in the blanks. So a good example is if you're typing an email in Google and you kind of finish it, and it maybe in Gmail, it'll give you, hey, here's what the next words you were probably going to write. It's guessing at that. But it's pretty good at this because it's read through all your emails in the past and it knows those. So, so you can click a button and it fills those in. That's what AI is it's doing that on a broader scale. So what the advantage that we're trying to do to it is take that type of model where it can understand the question essentially and guess at what we want to see the result at. But then we allow it to access some other tools so it can actually take action or give us good results. And so those other tools for us are data analysis and searching the web. So great. Your comment about like shopping is interesting because I use it now to find coupon codes. I use it now.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good at that. So, and by the way, go find 10 relevant coupon codes that are active right now. And then I just try them all and see which one works. Right. And so there are things like that it can go do, and that you need to start thinking about. I don't go to Google anymore. My first question is
very seldom.
Right. And And so I see it as more of a, like, think of it as Google on steroids. I think I did a post a couple months ago. I called it Clippy on steroids, right? Remember we used to have Clippy that was there and was like annoying but useless, right? That little
What?
like paper clip, a little paper clip that came with like Microsoft Office and you could like ask it questions. Like this was like mid 90s. It was called Clippy and it was pretty horrible. But now we have that, but it actually works.
Oh yeah, I
So
mean, and Siri is junk. Like,
Siri is junk. I honestly don't particularly like Copilot, and I see a lot of companies say, "Well, we're using Copilot," and it's like it's kind of the least sophisticated version of any of this. The nice thing is it does play well with Microsoft, and so
that's why a lot of companies use it, just because
yeah.
maybe
And
it's
for
safer, or
maybe for rewriting emails and things like that, fine. But when I want to go do heavier stuff, it's just not up for it. And I've
yeah.
tried to build agents within it. Some of them are okay.
What do you
But
mean build agent?
great question. So an agent is something that you train on a very particular topic to do maybe a specific task. So I have an agent within our SharePoint that my team can access, and it has our internal knowledge. So like my company's policies, procedures, samples, training, and so they can actually just communicate with that and say, "Hey, what's our vacation policy?" Right? And it'll go find it and tell them and show them where the file is so they can find it. So imagine they don't have to really have a good grasp of your document structure and how you have this messy set of documents. No matter how well you have it organized, everybody's going to tell you that it's a mess and they can't find anything. So if you could connect that to Copilot can help navigate that for people and find things. So I just used it. One of our marketing guys asked me to do a video series on the top 5 audit findings we've had in the past. And so I was able to send Copilot at our document set and look through all of our previous audits that we've done and actually come up with, here are our top 5 findings that we do. So there are pretty cool things you can do with it, but I don't get the data analysis and sort of the horsepower I get out of the other tools.
I mean, on my Mac, I mean, I know organizing, there's no right way to do things, but it's a freaking mess.
Yeah.
Like I tried to start a folder for a podcast. I tried to start a folder for a blog, and then for blogs, and then you do a Zoom call and it downloads it into the
Who knows?
into the documents, and then you go to the files, and then it's something inside that. It's a mess. So could I go to Copilot or some kind of AI and like send it into my machine and say,
Yep.
put this in a logical way?
Yeah, you could.
It's dangerous though, right?
It's dangerous. So the question is, do you need it to put it in a logical way if it can just find it for you? And a good example is, I don't organize, like, I don't know about you, but my team's on Gmail, and I don't organize my emails.
Yeah,
I just have a big
that.
pile. I have a big pile of emails. So, we don't have to do the organization that we used to have to do because it can just find what I'm looking for.
You just search.
Just search. It's a killer search.
Still not good on an iPhone. I mean,
no, it's pretty bad.
My dad is always like, because he just uses a phone. Even though he owns an iPad, he still just uses his phone. Even though he has had like 5 detached retinas and has crap eyes, he still uses a phone for everything. And he's always saying, I can't find this. I can't find this in the email. And
yep.
It's not your fault, man. It's not.
It just can't search for anything.
It's Apple's fault.
I actually use the Gmail app for my email more if I'm going to go find something, because it can actually find it, because
Agreed.
Apple just can't. Yeah. I started using something called Fixer, and this is a good note that there's all these tools that 6 months ago didn't exist.
Fixer. Okay.
I was doing other tools 6 months ago that I thought were cool, and now I've stopped those and I've moved to new ones. Fixer is embedded in my emails and reviews all my emails. It categorizes them into, do I need to respond? Is it just an FYI? Is it just marketing? It categorizes them, puts it in a folder. And if I need to respond, it writes a response for me based on how I write. And it puts it in my draft folder. If somebody's asking for like a meeting, it'll actually look at my calendar and figure out dates that work as part of that.
How does it know how you write if it doesn't have a memory?
Now, this one does have a memory. So Fixer is a different one. It's not our tool. It's just a tool that I use personally. But it's also one that goes to every meeting I go to and gives me notes. So it's the thing that's added into that Zoom call that takes minutes of the meetings and sends me an email with them after. So that goes whether I go to a meeting or not. But its ability to review my writing and learn how I write, figure out my calendar has been really strong. So it took me 3 weeks to probably get used to it. But now that I have it, I just looked. It has taken like 1,500 marketing emails out of my inbox that I probably would have looked at, and it's eliminated them.
You really would have
think
looked
about
at
how much
marketing
time.
emails?
What's that?
You really would have looked at these marketing emails?
Some of them, right? Or at least I would have scrolled past them and been like, maybe, right? Or deleted them. They're just gone now. So, and it's doing a really good job.
But what if it got rid of, maybe that's why you didn't see Today's Machining World the other day.
Maybe I have to look at it. Yeah. It's a possibility. Yeah. And I can, tell it, hey, that one's not junk, but yeah. Yeah. But I can tell you that's really cleaned up things. One of the things I recently did with our tool. So our tool, I
just have my personal email is the one that gets all the email blasts.
Yeah.
I subscribe to something and it's always the personal email.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You have to have that. I have my Gmail from, like 2001 or something that I made when I was in high school, and that's still where those go.
Yeah.
I have I was recently able to turn it to point our tool, and I actually use Claude for this, but I gave it access to my Gmail and my calendar. And I ask it to do a review of where I'm spending my time, put the events that I did and the time I spent in my emails into buckets, right? And then tell me over the past year, where have I spent my time? Give me a whole category on that, right? And so I can start to
So this is something that you would do for companies because you're doing ISO.
Yeah, absolutely. And look for opportunities for, hey, where's your leadership wasting their time? What things should they get off their plate? And it's interesting because I've been working on planning my company Christmas party, which I still do. And I probably should have somebody else doing.
Don't say should. Don't say should. Don't judge yourself.
There you go.
You could. And, you could.
I could, right? That's thank you. I appreciate it. And but it caught that, and it's like, yeah, this should be something that you're not doing. You should hand this off to an admin or something. Like I don't have an admin, but so it's interesting to see it's catching those kind of things that maybe aren't value add. One of the things it caught was I happen to do a lot of board work. Like I work on a lot of nonprofit boards locally. I'm spending like 12 to 15% of my time on those.
Heaven forbid you should help with nonprofits. I mean,
but is that too much, or is that too? You know what I mean? Like, what's appropriate there? So I don't mind doing that. I'm happy to help. I think it's important to getting involved in the in the neighborhood in the community. I'm good with that, but there's also got to be a line because they do ask for a lot, and so you have to be able to say no to some of them because otherwise I'd spend half my time doing that.
Right. Well, it's good to at least track it.
Yeah,
and then you make the choice after that.
Yeah. And so like, I think I'm at a good spot where I'm at with it right now. But if somebody asked me about another board right now, I'd probably say no. Just because I already recognize I'm already kind of at peak of what I can do.
Okay. So we talked about a lot of things, tracking, documents. Let's talk about some specific things. You have something that's a PPAP expert.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, and I don't know if we have anybody listening that's in the automotive world, they're going to know what a PPAP is.
Of course, there's tons of people in that.
And so PPAP is a pre-production approval process.
The 10 people is no, I'm just kidding.
and if you're not in the automotive, it's like a glorified first article inspection, right? So it's going to have your first article inspection report, but also all the backup document to say what we made is what we intended to make and what you are asking for. So it's kind of your backup proof to your customer saying we can actually deliver this, right? And so these are very complicated, right? Can be tons of pages, right? 50, 100 pages, depending on how complicated it gets. And they can be really time consuming for your quality team to build. And it tends to get dumped on quality. So what happens is, especially if people don't do a good job of putting the development of a PPAP up front, right? And they're trying to do it at the back end of a project, is they're hoping to ship this part really quickly, right? And now they're waiting for quality to, make sure they have all these documents in place. We're trying to speed that process up. And so we have tools to help them make control plan, make FEMAs, which is their risk analysis on this particular job, and then take that. And before I send it, I want you to pass that PPAP. I want that first article to be approved by the customer the first time. So we take all those documents, and I've trained an agent to be a PPAP expert. I take all those documents and hand it to them.
Back up.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You've trained an agent. Who's the agent? Are you talking about a person? Are you talking about a machine?
Great question. I've trained a Claude, an instance of Claude, right, to be a PPAP expert. And what I've done is I've told it exactly what PPAP people know. I've given it all this information where it says, hey, you can go to this website. You can here's the PPAP manual, right? So it knows those things. And now when I ask it questions, it's got sort of the context of what I'm going to be asking and where to come from. And so I'm able to upload all of the documents that I would plan on giving to a customer and say, hey, check these. Give it a run through before I send it to the customer. Am I missing anything? Are there, grammatical problems? Are there things that don't make sense? Try to bring those problems to light before I send it to a customer to see if we can catch them and pass more PPAPs on the first time. If you can do that, your cash flow is better. The customer's happier. There are lines shut down because PPAPs aren't there. Right? They're waiting on the paperwork and they can't go to production because they don't have the paperwork to do it. And so how do we get in front of that process and make it run smoother?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. So you've gone, I think about myself, who doesn't love to talk about themselves? I'm just constantly exploring as far as sending a negotiation email to a customer or, figuring out shipping a machine or figuring this process out, whatever. And I'm like, but for me, it's like an exploratory process, trying to figure out the right one to use. It's sort of interesting. It's also some trial and error. And you have, because you've looked at a zillion manufacturing companies, all of these obstacles they're dealing with. And then you've gone, all right, I know the best tool for this obstacle. I know the best tool for this one. And so you'll come into the company and say, hey, basically, you could, if you wanted to just be corny, you could say, hey, this is your, I don't know, this is your Swiss Army knife, and this is your auger for doing this process, and this is your corkscrew for here. You come in and you are ready with that specific thing for these customers to use. So they're not like, well, I wonder if Claude would work well for this.
Exactly. We've already built out tools that are working. Now, look, they do need to be customized, right? So it takes some time to kind of, hey, we're going to make sure it matches exactly what you guys do. But that's all pretty simple. I say if you're good at Google, you can be good at AI. So you don't have to be a programming expert to be good at AI. I would put that out there. It's a lot about defining what do you want your output to be and what inputs do you have to give it. So inputs, outputs. My job is to make the magic in between work, right? So I can take those inputs and deliver your output.
Do I find, and I'm assuming that this is part of your service of just the training, because to me, what's awesome about it and the key to it is the conversational aspect. To tell it as much as you can about what you're doing, question it, go back and forth. One of the coolest things I did, I was traveling to Munich, Germany, to do a machinery deal. And I was on my way to Stuttgart. I flew into Frankfurt, and I couldn't find the the train station at the airport, and everything's in German,
Yeah.
and the signs sucked,
Yep.
and I'm lost, and I see a sign that says to go this way, but I'm not sure. So I take a picture on my phone and I show it to ChatGPT and I say, "Hey, I'm at the Frankfurt airport. Where do I go?" And then it then told me where to go, but it'll at first it's like, well, you know, are you seeing a blue sign? Which way is the arrow going? And I'm like going back and forth. And the best thing is, I keep bringing up the oil stains that I get stained on my clothes all the time. And when your
Ask.
mother isn't there,
Yeah. Yeah. You got
and
somebody to ask. Yeah.
well, I mean, my wife, she's very good at laundry, but she, like many people, are just kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure. And so I was at dinner last week and I got some salad dressing on my shorts. And I was like, okay, I'm at a restaurant. I just got some salad dressing on my shorts. I have, these things available. My wife has a shot wipe. There's seltzer here. We got some salt. And I was like, all right, first of all, do I have to worry about this? Does it have to go in the laundry now? Does it not? And so it's telling me step by step, which is the best thing. And I'm going back and forth and I'm like, it's like, well, how long has it been? How long has it been on there? And I'm like, well, it's been on there 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
then it's like, well, how soon can you get it to a washing machine? And I'm like, well, I'm at dinner. And actually I'd prefer not to have to actually wash it. So if I put the stain stick on it, can I just let it sit, or
Yeah.
is it going to mess it up? And would dish soap be better? And so I can just see,
So
like, that's the beautiful thing. You're probably running into like a stain on the shop floor.
that's so great. The analogy is pretty interesting. So we're helping. One of the things my customers struggle with, especially when their customers ask them, is doing good corrective actions. You had a problem.
Exactly.
How do I fix it? And so I built them a tool where they can brain dump. Here's all the stuff that just happened. Here's pictures of it, right? Here's everything we think went wrong. Help me first build a really good problem statement. What went wrong? And then help walk through. I like to do the 5 why, right? Why do we have a problem? Why did it get to the customer? Where did our system fail? And ask why 5 times with each of those. And when you do that, you start to get to real root causes.
That's what you have always done doing ISO certification.
Exactly. And so we use the AI to do that, right? Because it gives you some new ideas that you wouldn't have even thought about. So once you start prompting it with those kind of things,
Give an example.
So I was helping with a project, and we were actually able to come up with a different coolant that we should have been using at a machine shop. And we thought it was all an end mill problem, and it ended up being a coolant problem. And so AI actually pointed that out, that this could be a possibility. And we're like, you know what? We never thought about that. And we were able to say, well, what should we use? And it found an alternative for us, and that's what we switched to. So thinking about just other pathways that maybe you were stuck in this one direction and you need a different way to do it, that's where we would want to come from. So it's super powerful there. And really taking, like, I like to say, I would do that brain dump of a topic, right? When I write, that's what I'm doing with it. When I say, hey, I want to do this article, I take this brain dump of here's what I want the article to be about. And here's all these details. And then let it help put that together for me, right? Let it help structure what I would want to write about. That's a really killer part for
and then it gives you it back, and you say, well, no, I didn't say that, or
or that's not the direction I want to go, or we don't do that. I need it to be over here.
Yeah, or let's trim this here. This one isn't
always
as
make
important.
It shorter. always make it shorter. Like, yeah, that's normally my answer. But I'm able to get marketing content out much quicker. And
oh, absolutely.
I use a software called Opus right now that allows me to take. I spoke this week, and I can take the video recording of that speech, drop it in. It slices it into like clips that are ideal for social media.
You think that's
And
better than I think the Riverside ones, I
yeah, I
record
haven't
this on
used
Rivers.
Riverside, but
It's
yeah,
mediocre at best.
it's doing a pretty good job and it
You don't
ranks
have to
them.
doctor it up afterward. You don't have to.
No, no, I don't doctor it up at all. Now, sometimes I don't mind coming in a little more raw because I'm just not as polished on that side. And, I'm pretty new to the video and marketing game. That's okay with me. And I'm looking for that 15, 20-second clip, right?
Fifteen
Not
twenty
the,
seconds.
yeah. If you start
Maybe that's easier.
yeah. And once you start going longer than that, it's hard to get the views. I can watch my view count, right? If it's over a minute, it's tough.
Well, I'm
If
trying
you
to
go,
get it under a minute,
yeah.
but
Those little quick ones, right? Those are the ones that ranks the highest. So,
on
and
what? On
I find
LinkedIn or on?
so it actually ranks them, but I tend to use we use LinkedIn and Facebook, and we put stuff on YouTube, and we're starting to kind of push out from there.
And when you put stuff on YouTube, the stuff that's 10 seconds long does
Oh yeah,
really
it definitely
well.
does better. Yep, the reels do better than just standard videos, and so I try to
No,
do
but
a
I
mix of
mean
that.
like
But
10 seconds versus 50 seconds.
yeah, I would say that's marginal, but it's how long if you can watch, and if you LinkedIn does a good job of this. It tells you how long people were actually watching, right? You'll see a lot of people drop off after 15, 20 seconds of any video. So can I get my message up front in that video to make sure I'm getting it across, right? And my hope is to do that so they can then go to, follow us or whatever, and then they're willing to watch the longer ones.
Right. That makes total sense. And is this this part of the training too for companies doing marketing?
So I have not kind of dove into the marketing side. For us, I've really focused on helping manufacturers and a couple service firms actually, review their deliverables at the end before they send them out and look for use cases, within their facilities. So that's been really interesting. A lot of financial reviews, using it for financials and doing some benchmarking with it has been pretty interesting. So, I'm using it to do some like cash forecasting. But the cool part is then I can run sensitivities on that. And when I say a sensitivity, I say, hey, here's our exports out of QuickBooks of our AP and our AR and our balance sheet, things like that. What's my cash flow look like for the next, say, 13 weeks? And then it'll give me a result. And then I can quickly say, what if our cost of goods goes up by 5%? What does that do to our cash flow? And get a really quick answer. So once you start doing that, you realize, oh, I can use this for those kind of tests. Think about it if you would use it for scheduling within your facility. And if a customer calls and say, hey, could I get that 2 weeks earlier? What if you could quickly ask the tool to say, yeah, not only could you get it 2 weeks earlier, but here's what has to happen with the rest of our jobs to make that work. And let AI figure out that logic problem.
Wow. Anything else like that's just, I don't know, that you're doing something that other people aren't doing, or just something like you're just gushing about that you haven't mentioned?
So I would say where we are is we're that connector between these dreamers in AI and the actual like what you can do today. Look, I think a year from now it's going to be different. I think, but if you don't start, and we really preach crawl, walk, run. Most people are at that crawl or not even there yet. We need to start crawling because everybody else is going to be running a year from now. And if you don't keep up, it's going to be really hard to catch them. So when I see that, if you're not using some of these tools just to start testing them and trying them out, you're not going to see the use cases that are coming that people are going to fly by you. So I can see it with us. It makes my people faster, smarter, better, right? Like that's the key for it. I'm not trying to eliminate them. I'm trying to, how can I make you better at your job? We talked about this. We had a team meeting today. All 10 of us were in a room and we're using it to help us do internal audits. It's not to make the internal audits faster and we want to make them higher quality. I want to look at more things, right? It's not to say, oh, we'll get it done way, way quicker. I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is where can we use it to do a better job, a higher quality job. So I think that's interesting. I just built a tool for a client to help them plan their purchasing. So I can put in their orders, their bill of material, and I can put in the sort of the lead times and their inventory. And from there, I can use AI to help say, hey, you need to buy this at this time. And with its objective is to be on time for the customers and to keep their inventory as lean as possible. So using AI to help solve some of these logic problems is critical.
Is there anything else that's just, I mean, you've said so many interesting things. What's your latest and greatest thing?
So I would say it's a lot around the adoption rate right now, in that I'm concerned that if you go back and you look at how long it took people to get excited about just getting a PC at home, it was like 18 years. How long did it take them to jump to have 100 million people on the internet? It was like 10 years. It took ChatGPT 2 months. Like this is faster than anything we've ever seen, and I'm concerned about folks who are maybe not diving in where they should be. And so the folks who are putting your head in the sand, it's really scary, because this is a leadership issue. Like, leaders need to be in front of this, and if you're not willing to dive in, I'm concerned for where your company is going. You need to put these tools in your people's hands, and this is a unique software where your team is going to bring you the solutions. You're not giving them a piece of software and saying, I'm solving these problems for you. Instead, you're giving them access to a tool that will solve those problems. And I've been positioning that as, I'm selling you a 3D printer. You guys figure out what to print, right? And so it's not this one solution. We're going to have hey, here's some sample prints you can do, but you're going to start designing your own. You're going to find those use cases within your business and be able to apply them. That's going to come from your team, right? And they're going to know where those problems are and things that they can fix. So
And you guys are providing training?
Yeah. We're providing both in-person training and online training for folks. And that's a lot of it is just, how can I get my team comfortable with it so they can start to use it? And once they're comfortable, they'll understand where the applications fly.
Don't you think, like, to take it to a certain level, you just have to start talking to it like a person?
Oh, absolutely. And I do that in my car with Grok. It's like I'm having a conversation, and it's pretty interesting to do that. I can do long car rides and feel like I'm having a conversation.
Why Grok? Because Grok is known to have sort of an attitude?
No, it's just built into my car. So I have a Tesla.
What kind of car?
A Tesla.
A Tesla.
Yeah, so it's built in, so it works kind of through the microphone pretty well. But it's interesting. I can do that. I can plan out, say, a class I want to teach or something like that while I'm driving, and just talk to it. No, I'm not on the computer. I'm just talking to it, right? And so I'm saying, hey, here's the class I'm thinking about, and maybe help me later.
I know. Focus on the road, though.
Well, that's interesting, because the car is actually driving me. The full self-driving is pretty darn amazing.
That's true.
So I can kind of do that and have that conversation with it while I'm in the car. And when I get to work, it's sitting on my computer ready to go. So I'm able to kind of get those thoughts out, right, when I'm in that quiet zone, which is really the only time I'm in the quiet zone for me, is when I'm in the car, and get those thoughts out and get them into something that then I can execute on later.
Fascinating. I'm so excited about it, but do you feel like this is going to start atrophying people's thinking power?
I think you have to put those roadblocks in place, right? And one of the things ChatGPT isn't great at is like making documents, right? The formatting on that document is going to be a mess when it comes out. Like, good luck, entering a new space in it. It's going to like add 3 pages and 10 lines, and
Claude is better.
No, I don't think any of them are very good at it. And so in that, I actually, in our system, we tried not to make a lot of documents. Instead, I actually asked my people to copy and paste out of it. And I want you to work on it before you send it, because I think it can be too easy to say, make me that document, hit send, right? I actually want to slow them down enough that they have to review it and look at it.
Yeah, well, you have to, because you cannot accept what these things give you. They will, and I think lazy people or naive people will will do that.
And we're going to spot them quickly because you'll be getting, wrong answers and by the way, if that's all you're giving me, I kind of don't need you. Right. Like if you're
No,
just
but
going
I'm
to give me
talking
that
about like the
response.
people you're helping, not your own
Yeah.
company, but
Yeah. But I mean, think about that. And so it's how can we, I'm hoping we can give it to people so they can take the things out of their life that are a real pain, right? Not the creative stuff, not the things I'm paying them for, but the things that are just a waste of their time but are really time consuming. Can we identify those things and use AI to solve some of those problems?
yeah, I no, I'm totally into it, but I think some of these things it's somewhere in the middle between waste and not. I mean, like for instance, here's the way I think about it. Um, you know, before cars, everybody had to walk
Yep.
places, and everybody was fit because they were moving.
Yeah, there was some tension there, right? They had.
Then we got horses and cars, and so it was great. People can get where they need to go, and now people, to be fit, they have to go to a gym. They have to
Yeah.
have artificial work.
Yep.
So I know from experience writing, I've written a ton of blogs over time. I've written, I used to write papers in high school and college, and that part of it I did waste a lot of time because I had trouble getting it out of me.
Or getting past that blank page, right?
Yeah. There was so much friction. But number one, it was the grit you get from fighting it and somehow conquering this battle. And number two, think about the times of your day where you're really thinking, where you're really using your brain. Like, not that much, but writing is a place where you can really feel, like you can feel yourself pushing yourself. And now I still do it, but it's less difficult. And I mean, I see my family, we have a WhatsApp thing, and it's about 10 people or something. And they're always playing Wordle and sending their Wordle score around. This is things that I think people are going to be doing.
They need the challenge, right?
They need mental exercises. Now, I use AI more than any of the others.
Yeah.
Despite my brother-in-law being a bigwig at Waymo, he's like anti-LLM right now. But I think I can see a point where people need to do a morning brain workout.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Just because they're not getting a healthy brain workout that they would otherwise.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
I do see folks who are going to rely on it too much. And I even got to help our local school district come up with their AI policy. And that was pretty interesting because it was.
And what was the AI policy?
Well, actually, it was. We want students to be able. I don't want to take the calculator out of a kid's hand, right, and make them do everything by hand moving forward. But there's some part of that. So they put in levels, and I actually really appreciate it on that the teacher gets to decide on if AI is allowed on this project or if it's not. Right. And so they have certain levels they can get to. And so sometimes it's not. And then, hey, you got to do the work by hand. I get it.
What year in school are you talking about?
So this is primarily the high schoolers, but they're pushing it down through some of the younger ones. Some of that is you shouldn't really have kids on it. Right. It's, what it could spit out to them. I'm not thrilled about. So I would be very careful with that. I don't know if there's a kid friendly LLM out there, if that makes sense. And so I'd be just cautious about, having.
Ask the LLM to be kid friendly. I'm sure it'll behave itself. My first cousin once removed. My first cousin, her her kids are in high school, and I guess now they're taking a whole bunch, like all their papers and stuff. They're just essay tests, like in class,
Yep.
no, like freehand,
So I taught at a local
longhand.
university, and I just made everybody do everything by hand when we did tests, because I knew they would go to that. But it's also a challenge for the teacher, because you know what, you shouldn't be testing on facts anymore, in my opinion. Instead, you should be testing on understanding of the content and the context and the knowledge, right? So it's a different way to teach, right? It's not ramble
It's
off.
totally true, but what about memory? Like memory keeps you sharp.
Agreed. I mean, and there's certainly a place for that, right? Like if you're going to be a doctor, you can't run to ChatGPT every time you've got a question, right? Like that would be scary.
No, but I mean, just for the health of your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I look at my father, and we'll be working out a deal, and he'll like get on the whiteboard and like start, carrying the one, and and he still knows all the channels on the TV,
Yeah.
and I think it's really good for his brain.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it's just like the GPS, right? I mean, does anybody know where to go anymore, or do we just follow blindly our GPS to get there, right? Like that is interesting. Do I want, as my oldest is soon going to be driving, like I don't want him to use the GPS early. I want him to be kind of working on figuring that out, right? On figuring out how to get where. And
yeah.
And so like you don't want to use that as a crutch. It's a good interesting example. My car will park itself, okay, and it will parallel park itself. I will not let my son learn to drive on that car, because I want him to learn how to parallel park, right? And
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, we got to be careful that we don't stay stuck in old ways. I don't need him to ride a horse anymore, right? So think about that. Like we're going to teach him to drive. We're not going to teach him to go ride a horse today. It's a different story, right?
Do you find that you parallel park better when you have a camera or not?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a good question. Do you do it with or without a camera, right? So I hear a lot of folks say, man,
I don't hit the other people
Yeah.
anymore
Yeah.
since I have a camera.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like overall my job isn't as good.
Oh, that's interesting. It's pretty wild to see your car parallel park itself though now, and it does a pretty good job.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say to the people of the world before we wrap this up?
Hey, we're excited to be a partner with companies as they're looking to kind of start this journey and figure out how can we help them, right? How can we be a part of their of sort of their next steps and where they're growing? If they're going into Industry 4.0 and they're thinking about what are next steps, this is the lowest cost and highest ROI you can think of. This will hit everybody in the company, everybody from marketing to purchasing to receiving, you name it. They're all going to be able to use this kind of thing. And I think that's a great opportunity with AI that companies will have and should consider as they're looking to make those investments. And look, for like 10 grand, you can get 20 people using AI. And it's 10 grand a year. That's a pretty good deal when you start thinking about the time savings that can come out of it.
For 10 grand, you can get 20 people using AI?
Yeah.
Why does it cost 10 grand? You can do it for free.
Well, no, but not in secure ways with tools that we want to deliver those guardrails.
I see. 10 grand from using your tools and framework.
Yeah. I mean, when you start thinking about what that looks like, you can deliver the framework to give people security that they're requiring. And I can tell you that's the elephant in the room when you to go talk about AI.
Absolutely. And if people want to find you, Adam, they should just look for you on LinkedIn.
They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always posting videos, and they can check us out at ledgeinc.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much.